And right now we have the great Tim Kurkjian, who I was very happy when Karl Ravech repeated my Tim Kurkjian storytelling praise last year on ESPN, and he joins us now on the D&M Leasing Hotline. I told Ravech, this seems like a top seed storyteller around the campfire. This is who you want. Mm-hmm. And Karl was going into one of those stories during the broadcast, and he's like, yeah, I was on a Dallas radio show, and they were praising you, Tim. They were just praising Tim Kurkjian as an all-time storyteller. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
I'm well, fellas. How you doing?
Doing well. Now, what are the old legendary stories about him? Is that pick up hoops?
He's got the second best handles behind Kyrie Irving, is what I'm told.
Is that true, Tim?
I am 67 years old. I'm 5'4.5". I have an artificial hip. I am the slowest man on the face of the earth now. I played not too long ago, and there were 4 people in the gym. 2 of them were like 10 years old, and 2 were adults. So the kids asked if we wanted to play a game. I thought it would be an adult and a kid against adult and a kid. But we played 2 10-year-olds against 2 adults. It was hilarious. And thankfully we beat him, and I took my guy to the bucket, which I was pretty happy about because he was bigger than I was. He was 10. So that was the last time I played. So I'm not sure we're talking about handles anymore because at my age, my size, and my mobility, I stink.
What other media member, either now or like when you were in your prime, had game? What other media member that we would know could really play?
Well, he's not a media member, but A.J. Preller, who is the general manager of the Padres and a former Ranger employee, he still is a nightmare. Now, he is 20 years younger than me, and he's not significantly bigger than me, but he's bigger than me, he's stronger than me, and he is a nightmare to try to guard. There are a lot of media members that I've played with over the years that I love. John Shea, who covers all sports in the Bay Area. I played a lot of games with him, which was tremendous fun. But what I enjoyed so much about spring training in Arizona over the years is how many guys within the game I got to play with. I mean, I played with Lee Smith, reliever Steve Klein. I played with Billy Bean. I played with a bunch of GMs, Sandy Alderson, David Forrest. It was tremendous when the baseball people showed up because their competitive nature is pretty high.
Tim Kurkjian, the legend, joining us here on the home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. One of the things, we love your knowledge of the game, the storytelling, but Peter King recently said, you know what, I woke up and I was like, I just don't want to go to the combine. It doesn't sound like your enthusiasm has waned whatsoever. Do you still love and have the same amount of joy for baseball as 5, 10, 20 years ago?
Yes, I do. And whenever I get to the point where I don't want to get up and read the box scores at 6 o'clock in the morning with the Diet Mountain Dew next to me, then it will be time to go do something else. Sadly, I'm not trained, of course, to do anything else. I can't do anything else. I'm like the most useless person in the world when it comes to being competent at anything. This and loving basketball are the only 2 things that I've ever been even remotely interested in. So, yes, I just got back from Florida. I had a great time, saw as many teams as I could, not as many as I would like. I went to Arizona for 12 days. I saw a bunch of teams there, saw a bunch of players there. So I still love baseball as much as ever, and I can say that honestly.
Tim, do you think that the Texas Rangers can repeat?
Yes, I do. Do I think they will? No, I'm going to take the field. You almost always take the field, especially in baseball. But I saw them this spring, and I know Corey Seager's not going to be 100% in spring training and all that. And I know they need another starting pitcher, and I know they have to wait for the cavalry to arrive, DeGrom, Scherzer, healthy maybe after the All-Star break. But I still love the look of that team. I love the way they swing the bats. Their defense was elite last year. It'll be even better. Evan Carter for a full year. Wyatt Langford might make the team. I think they're really, really good. And I think they can repeat, yes. But if you're asking me, am I going to take the other 29 teams? Probably, yes.
All right, you brought up pitching, and I know of at least one left-handed starting pitcher that's available. I know of at least two, to be a matter of fact. When is your best guess on when either Snell or Montgomery do sign?
I'm so confused by this. I mean, how can they not be on a team right now? These are two of the best pitchers in the game. And I certainly understand the finances, and you can't just give people whatever they want. I just know that I was with the Rangers through the whole postseason last year, and Jordan Montgomery was so important to that pitching staff. He pitched some huge games for them. He was exceptional. And I'm not sure why someone hasn't grabbed him. I can't believe the Red Sox haven't gone to get him, especially with Lucas Giolito. I can't believe the Rangers don't have him. I can't believe Blake Snell is unsigned. He won a Cy Young last year, and his curveball, changeup, and slider were essentially unhittable. I'm confused, but this is the way baseball works in 2024, and so they'll both be in camp. They'll both be ready for opening day. I'm just not sure when and with whom.
You think they will both be ready for opening day? We're 20 days out, right? So you still think even if they signed today, they'd be good to go?
All right, good point. Maybe they'll just be signed by opening day. I'm so confused, as you could tell. Yeah, guys can get ready in a hurry, but 6 weeks for a pitcher is really important. And these guys are going to be behind when they get in, but we'll see what happens here. I mean, I just saw the Yankees, and I can't believe the Yankees wouldn't want one of these guys, although I just don't sense Blake Snell's going to the Yankees after seeing the Yankees the other day. And again, the Red Sox, if they're interested in being relevant in the AL East, they have to sign one of these guys. So it's a confusing situation.
Tim Kurkjian, ESPN here on 105.3 The Fan. Before we preview the Rangers season, you talked about being with them during the entire playoff run. What was something that jumped out, Tim, like that we wouldn't know behind the scenes, a special intangible, a feeling about them, a moment when you were like, okay, this feels like something magical here? What was something that you'll always be able to recall being with them during the championship run?
Well, I know I told myself privately after they beat the Rays in the first wild card series, I said to myself and no one else, I think this team can win the World Series, because I saw the camaraderie in the room. And I know that sounds corny, but it really is important, especially in baseball. And Bruce Bochy brought that atmosphere and that camaraderie to the team. When they lost that final game in Seattle, when George Kirby pitched the best game that anyone's pitched against them all year, Chris Young told me, they went across the country and they flew over Dallas. Instead of stopping in Dallas and getting a bye, they flew over Dallas, and Bochy told me he just grumbled, like, damn it, like, we should be landing here. Instead, they went all the way to Tampa, and they played like crazy. They played so well, and that's when I said, all right, everything went wrong for them down the stretch. They lost the division on the final day, and here they show up and just pound the Rays. And I said then, I think something's going on here. And then when they swept the Orioles, I said something is really going on here. And as it turned out, for once, I was right.
Tim, you mentioned being around them, not just during the postseason, but, you've had a chance to kind of roll through Arizona a little bit. And you talked about Wyatt Langford, a guy who we know just from Jeff Passan's reporting that he was close to being added to the playoff roster at one point during the run last year. The expectations on Wyatt Langford and the sense you're getting around baseball about him, is this somebody that they realistically expect in Major League Baseball, like could step in, be a big-time contributor right away, be this type of phenom right away?
Yes, I think he is. And I think there's been a shift in the way that teams look at the players, especially with the new CBA, that if a guy comes up, they're really protective now to make sure they don't appear like we're going to let the clock run so we can keep him. Instead, I see that they're saying, let's get this guy in here and win with him right away. I've seen this a million times, fellas. Derek Jeter, he's not ready. He was so ready his rookie year. Nomar Garciaparra, he's not ready for the big leagues. Yes, he was. Teams are taking young guys and bringing them straight in and say, let's go. Let's see what you can do. I mean, Evan Carter in a different way in the playoffs, in September of the playoffs, they just said, go, let's go. This is the way great players usually start off, and I think Wyatt Langford's going to be a great player, and I wouldn't be shocked if he were on the Major League roster on opening day.
Because I know baseball projections have always been a crapshoot with the players, and when you draft them, you have no idea what you're getting. When you see a player do what he's done in the minor leagues, like how often is it that those expectations actually do get met at the big league level?
Well, again, I've been over this a million times in my life. This is the hardest game in the world to play. I will argue it with anyone. And when you haven't played in the big leagues, it's really hard to learn to play in the big leagues when you've never been there before. And that's what I think is going to happen to him. But the way he crushed it in college, the way he crushed it professionally, I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be ready when the time comes. But the big leagues is so different. The levels are so different. A-ball has nothing in comparison to the big leagues, just like high school to college, college to pro ball to the big leagues. I mean, they're all giant leaps, but the great ones always find a way to make that leap.
You know, with a career year for Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, Josh Young coming up doing what he did, Evan Carter coming up doing what he did, is there going to be a little bit, potentially, is there a little too much pressure being put on the Rangers offense to duplicate that high level of success for at least the first couple months of the season leading into the health and availability of Scherzer, Mahle, DeGrom?
Yeah, sure. And that second year is always a huge adjustment for players who've had a really good rookie year like Josh Young did. I mean, things are going to have to, he's going to have to make a bunch of adjustments, and that goes for all the young players. And Adolis Garcia's had a pretty darn good career going, but everyone is going to look at him differently now because of the way that he played in October. And yes, I think the offense is going to look at itself and say, we're not 100% where we need to be pitching-wise, so we better score a bunch more runs. That's never a good way to go about it, but I think that offense potentially has a chance to be so good that if they don't try to do way too much, I think they'll be a very productive offensive team from day one.
Tim Kurkjian, ESPN, joining us on the D&M Leasing Hotline here on Shan, RJ, and Bobby. We all know about the Dodgers hype. We saw what Yamamoto did to us in his debut out there in Arizona. Tim, what are some of your other just overall major, most interesting storylines as we head into the year?
Well, that Dodger thing is unavoidable. The first day I went in to see the Dodgers, I think there were 100 media people in the clubhouse. 100. And the Dodger clubhouse during the regular season at home is not a particularly big place. It is going to be the greatest traveling show in the history of baseball because I have never, in 45 years of covering baseball, seen a scene like I saw this spring with all of those fans just absolutely all over those backfields in Glendale, Arizona, watching Shohei Ohtani take batting practice. He hit a home run in live BP against JP Fireheisen, and JP walked into the clubhouse, and I was trying to get him alone for another story, and as soon as he walked in, there were like 50 media people at his locker because they wanted to interview him about giving up a home run to Shohei Ohtani. It's going to be like that every single day of the year. I think that the Dodgers will be fine with it, and I think their talent level, especially offensively, is ridiculously high.
Tim, I want to ask you about Trevor Bauer. He's apparently going to play with some barnstorming pay-for-play team. You know, and he has said, I don't know how true this is, but he says he'll be playing for the league. He'll willing to play for the league minimum. Has nobody really contacted him? Are we just never going to see him pitch again?
Well, that's a good question, and I am guessing on this because I haven't professed to follow this completely, but my guess is in this culture in this environment, I don't think he's going to pitch again in the major leagues because there's just too much baggage there. The PR hit will be so significant for so many teams, and I just think they will look at it and say, this is not worth the risk. So my guess is he won't pitch again in the big leagues, but of course, I'm guessing, and anything is possible.
Yeah, because I look at a team, and you mentioned like Boston, and maybe it wouldn't work in Boston. I don't know, but like with the PR hit of, say, 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever it may be, versus having a last place finish and the PR hit you would take in town from being that bad. I mean, I guess that's my wonder, is that PR hit that big?
Well, again, I think the PR hit is going to be big no matter what team or town you choose. You said Boston. I don't know if it'll work there. I'm not sure where it would work, and that's why I'm doubtful that he'll pitch again in the big leagues.
Tim, last one for you. Do you think that this Rangers title with Bochy affected the old school, new school analytical approach in the game? Were we already heading back towards the old school with Chris Young and Bochy combining there for a little mixture of it? Do you think the Rangers World Series did anything for that discussion?
Yes. Look, analytics are here to stay, and I'm happy with that. But we need to bring the human element back to the game. Dusty Baker did so 2 years ago, and Bruce Bochy and Chris Young really delivered that this year. I think everyone in the game took notice that Chris Young brought Bruce Bochy out of retirement by telling him, we're going to let you manage the team and the game. And that's how it should be. We have taken so much value away and so much responsibility away from our managers. And Chris Young gave it back to Bruce Bochy, who, again, is a brilliant baseball guy. But I think a bunch of teams took notice and said, maybe we should trust our manager a little bit more here. We can give him every number he needs, every analytic he needs, but in the end, he has to watch the game and make the decisions. I hope we go in that direction a little quicker.
And Tim, one of the last ones from one of our Tolo listeners, he's obviously a beloved figure here, maybe through the sport. Ron Washington is back. He's in the AL West. What do you think he can do for the Angels in their build, their rebuild, whatever it is that you want to call it, and how fun is it going to be to cover Wash again?
Yeah, I'm so happy for him because this is a long time coming. I think he will make them better. I think he will make them more responsible on a lot of levels on trying to win every single day. But sadly for them, the Rangers are way better. The Astros are way better, and the Mariners are way better right now than the Angels. So I think they're a fourth-place team, but this is a rebuild, and I would be happy to rebuild with that guy because that energy level and that intensity is virtually unmatched.
Tim, you're the absolute best. We knew that you would be radio gold. Thank you for delivering as always. Keep doing what you love. You're welcome back anytime, and we can't wait to watch the coverage for the upcoming season. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to play basketball now against a 10-year-old.